Hello, this is Ando, and I'm in the kitchen. This evening I'm about to pair two of my favorite appliances, my EcoFlow Delta power station and my Instant Pot Mini. I'll be making dinner to see how the EcoFlow does powering up one of my favorite devices. But before I start dinner, I'm going to have a cup of tea. So, as an aspiring minimalist, this is my teapot, this is my kettle. It's basically a small element placed into a cup of filtered water and plugged into a power supply. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the AC outlets. The beep must indicate that they're on, and I am drawing about 300 watts. 312 is where it's settled. It is now about 10 after 5, so that'll be hot in about 6 minutes. Looks like it's already bubbling a little bit. So while those 6 minutes count down, I'm going to go ahead and get dinner started. Now I'm making rice and beans. I have rice and beans frequently. It's one of my staple meals. I use an organic short grain brown rice, and I soak my own organic black beans, and I put them together with some other great ingredients in my Instant Pot. Now, you may have noticed that my Instant Pot is a little banged up, because it is. This thing has been used. It gets used every day, multiple times, because I love this appliance. You may also notice that this is a bit smaller than a typical Instant Pot. And that's a very good observation and a very important part of this video, because this is the 3-quart Instant Pot Mini. And the reason I bought this and why I love it is because for 1 or 2 people it's the right size, but the power draw is only supposed to be about 700 watts. So when you're having to conserve your energy because you have a finite amount, it's very important to use a low draw appliance. I think many of you have used the standard 6-quart Instant Pot, and that pulls over 1,000 watts. And then, of course, there's also the larger 8-quart. But tonight I'll be making dinner in my favorite little Instant Pot Mini. It is going to just basically be a rice, tofu, and bean dish. And I'll mention that it also is served over a bed of spinach. Let me just grab my measuring cup. So it is a half a cup of organic short grain brown rice. And if there's any Japanese or Chinese grandmothers watching, you're going to be yelling at the screen any moment because I'm not rinsing my rice. When you have a finite supply of water when you're out, you want to make sure that you really conserve. And I've never rinsed my brown rice, and I'm still alive today, so I'm sorry. But I've got my brown rice. I'm going to do about a cup of black beans. That's a little bit more than a cup. I'm going to do about a cup of frozen organic corn. It's a nice crisp vegetable to add to that. And then my secret ingredient from my rice bowl is organic raisins. So I've got these Thompson seedless. I'm going to throw in maybe a 1/4 cup. All right, that gives us some great extra flavor. Now I normally just use water, filtered water, when I make this dish, but I do happen to have some broth open. So I'm going to use this no sodium or low sodium broth. And it's basically the same measurement as my rice. That was a half a cup of rice, so it'll be a half of a cup of vegetable broth or chicken broth. And I'm going to go a little over because I have those beans in there that will take up some of that moisture. Now, it's almost ready to go. The last thing I need to do is add the tofu. So I use the little, aren't these great? These little single packs. They come in a double and I just cut them in half from Wildwood. Love them. But sometimes I'll use steak. I like a skirt steak that I'll cube it up. Grass-fed, of course, from PCC Market. And that's a great protein addition to this dish. And I also use tofu from time to time. So you just get my tofu diced up. And add that to my little Instant Pot. Isn't this little guy cute? This little insert. I actually have more than one because I use the Instant Pot so much. The little insert actually works for popcorn. It works for mixing a small salad. I use this insert for many things. As a aspiring minimalist, it's important that your stuff is multi-purpose, right? So that's all there is to it. I've got the liquid and the ingredients in there. And I go ahead and lock the lid. Now you might be thinking that doesn't sound very flavorful at all. Just plain old beans, plain old rice. Well, there's more to the story. I'll be making this really good tahini sauce that I absolutely love. Oh, my 5 minutes is up. And I do have a little boil in my cup. And just give it a couple more seconds. The screen is sleeping. This device says that I could run this little heater in my hot water for 4 hours. So at 300 watts, this machine will power this up for 4 hours. So I've turned off the outlet, and now I'm removing that little element. So that was, again, 300 watts, 312 watts, and the machine said that it could do that for a full 4 hours. So let's get the tea steeping. Whoops. And this is a tazo flavor, wild sweet ginger. I don't think this one is organic. Usually my teas are, so whoops. Anyway, that's kind of toasty. We'll set that aside. And now that we're done with the tea, which I probably could do both at the same time, right? That's how they advertise this thing. I'm now going to turn on my Instant Pot. So after making that 5-minute cup of tea, I'm still at 99% power, 99 hours of time left. So I've turned on the outlet, and the Instant Pot has come on, just its menu screen. And I'm not showing any draw at all. The draw must be so small. But it is showing a 60 hertz appliance. So, of course, household runs off 60 cycles. So does my Instant Pot. I'm going to go ahead and select my high pressure cycle for 35 minutes. It's going to beep in a moment telling me that the Instant Pot has started. And then we'll get to see what the draw is. All right, the Instant Pot has started. I am on high, and I'm timing this dish at 35 minutes. My power station says I'm drawing 665 watts, so a little lower than what I thought the maximum draw would be for this small Instant Pot. So that's great. It's also telling me that it can do this for about an hour. It does say 1 hour in the window, so I'll definitely be done cooking long before that hour is up because this thing is only drawing 700 watts. If I had a regular Instant Pot, the 6-quart, it'd be a different story. So we talked about rice and beans and tofu being rather bland, and of course it is. So I'm making this amazing tahini dressing that I love. That's really easy to make. That's going to flavor up this rice and bean dish. So I've squeezed about 4 lemons, and that makes the start of this wonderful dressing. To that, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of parsley. That's a tablespoon and a half. And then I'm going to add a lot of dried garlic, organic garlic granules. And that's coming out pretty fast. That's about half a tablespoon almost. Might be a little bit much. And then cumin. Cumin is a great pair with tahini sauce. So I'm going to put in probably about 1.5 teaspoons. Kind of noisy. So I have 1.5 teaspoons of cumin. I'm going to go ahead and just give that a quick shake. And then, of course, we're going to add the organic tahini paste. I get this at Whole Foods. I have a Whole Foods across the street, so I get everything at Whole Foods, with the exception of a few items from PCC. I think PCC has a better meat department, and I think probably a little better produce, but Whole Foods has a little bit better pricing, and it's much closer. So this is just tahini paste, which is sesame seeds that are ground up. And I'm going to put in the equivalent of about, if I have 4 lemons, it should be about 4 tablespoons of tahini. I'm not using an actual measuring tablespoon, however. I'm just using a serving spoon. So it's going to be about 6 or 7 of these. And this is where something kind of interesting happens. So this is very liquidy. It's that tahini paste and the lemon juice. And it is just really liquidy. But the more you stir, the strange thing happens, and the lemon causes the tahini paste to thicken up. I apologize for that noise. It's probably pretty loud in the microphone that I'm wearing. So now it's a nice thick sauce for the rice and bean dish over organic spinach. I'm going to add a little dose of olive oil. Not much, maybe 1 teaspoon. Gives it a little more body. Not that it needs it. A little more creaminess. And now my sauce is ready. Wow, that's a lot of flavor. I'm on a lower salt diet, so I have to get all of my flavors from actual food and seasonings and spices, and not so much from salt itself. So this is going to go in the fridge. And I'm going to clean this up. We're checking on the device. We're at 660 watts. The screen just blanked out to save energy. And actually that's kind of blurry, isn't it? I need to take this protecting screen off since I just bought this power station. So let's wake that back up. So 663 watts. I'm 96% charged, so I only have used 4%. And it still says I have about 1 hour. The timer on this Instant Pot hasn't even started yet, because Instant Pots have to come up to pressure and then the timer starts. So we might be cutting it a little close. It'll be kind of interesting to see. So what I'll do now is go ahead and pause the video. I'll enjoy that cup of tea, clean up these things, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, more like 35 or 40 minutes. So we'll see you then. We're back in the kitchen, and it's been about 30 minutes since we last spoke. The Instant Pot is set for a 35-minute cook cycle, but remember, an Instant Pot spends about 10 or 15 minutes coming up to pressure. So the whole process does take longer than 35 minutes. Now, this Instant Pot is currently powered by the EcoFlow Delta. It is showing I have 6 minutes left, so dinner is almost ready. I'm excited about that. However, the EcoFlow is showing that there is 0 draw coming out of the device. It's also showing that I have 99 hours of runtime based on that 0 draw. But it is completely working because the Instant Pot is completely powered. So I've noticed that the fan on the EcoFlow Delta has been kicking on and kicking off during the cook cycle. And when the fan kicks on, the gauge actually starts to work again, and it will say the draw of 600 and some odd watts, and it will give me the 1 hour runtime, and it will give me the battery percentage left, which I think it still says about 87%. If it truly has 87% battery life left, that part is pretty amazing. But something must be wrong. If it's not showing me any data at all, it only shows me data when the fan kicks on. So we're going to just kind of monitor this for a minute, and when that fan does kick on, I'll take a quick look and let you know what I see. Rice bowl needs a bowl, and a rice bowl needs utensils. Let me grab those. Oh, I'm going to have to wash that. And we're hoping that that kicks on here in a second. We'll use this one. And of course, the dressing I made, which is now a little chilled. Okay, so what I'll do is I will edit the video, give you guys a break for a second, and we'll come back when the fan kicks back on. So the fan has just kicked back on. The readout display is now operating properly again. My watts draw is 663 roughly. I have, well, nope, the fan kicked off and I lost all my data again. So I'm guessing that's not supposed to be how this actually works, but I don't know. Interesting thing though is I can share this video link with our friends at EcoFlow to find out what's going on. The fan kicked back on. It's showing a 1 hour cook time, but it's still showing an 87% battery capacity left, which I find really surprising. If that's true, that's really good news. And the Instant Pot is down to about 2 minutes left on the cook cycle. So once again, I'll pause the video, do some editing, and we'll get you to the end. So the Instant Pot is beeping. That means its cook cycle is over. The timer is now down to 0. Now an Instant Pot has the keep warm feature. If you're trying to conserve energy, I would recommend you don't use that. For today's testing, however, I wanted to see what the power draw was from the keep warm feature. But since the display is not working properly, I'm not able to tell you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the keep warm feature. So now the Instant Pot is completely off. I've unplugged it and I've turned off the unit, or at least the AC outlets. It's showing I have 87% power left, which I think again is kind of crazy since I've used this Instant Pot for about 40 minutes. If that's true, then that's great. But let's see if I plug in the power source to recharge, if I can get this gauge to behave. Okay. It's possible that we truly are only at 87%, or still at 87% capacity or charge. So that's great. And it's saying that we only have about 20 some minutes to get this thing charged up again. So I'm sorry the readout's not working right, but that brings me to the close of this video, an important point about this device, if we can get that to work right. But the fact that this thing charges so fast would allow you to use your Instant Pot in the morning for maybe a batch of oatmeal, make your tea, an easy breakfast. Then attach your solar panels and let this thing charge up. Again, it charges in about 4 hours with 400 watts of solar power. That's just a small chunk of the day. And then you can use the device again later to make another big pot of dinner. You can plug in electric lights, you can plug in your laptop, you can charge up all your devices that you've used throughout the day. So I'm very pleased with the actual performance of what this provides with power. And then we'll try to figure out what's going on with the readout. If I do hear back from our friends at EcoFlow, I'll be sure to post an update. So I'm really happy that that worked. I'm going to go ahead, release the steam, make some dinner. Actually, I'll edit a little bit and let you guys see what this looks like. So the cook cycle is complete. I have released the steam, and you get this beautiful bean and rice dish with corn and the secret ingredient, which is the raisins. Add a little sauce to that, and this will go down so nicely. Thank you for joining me for my first use video, and I'll post a few more as I use my EcoFlow Delta a bit more. Thanks.